Hey, how's it going? I just want to do a lesson on allegiance, and I'm just going to look up the Google definition of the word allegiance. It's a noun. It means loyalty or commitment of a subordinate to a superior or of an individual to a group or a cause. Synonyms are loyalty, faithfulness, fidelity, obedience, homage, and even devotion. So I just want to do a quick lesson on, a lot of these like you see a lot of gang signs. You see like this a lot, which is the 666, which you see Donald Trump and a lot of leaders, Obama and all that. They'll flash that. They'll use that as part of their like sign language, their hand gestures, and they're essentially declaring their allegiance. And you see the 666 a lot, even in rap, like a ton. There's a group called 3 6 Mafia, 3 6s, so 666 Mafia, and you can look up a lot of Drake stuff. He incorporates the six, which he claims is reference to Toronto and the different boroughs or the area code, but the number of boroughs. But we know it has double meaning. Even in his one of his songs, he's like talking about his mom, and he's like referring to her age as being who wants to be 66 and alone. So like that number pops up, and then in his latest song God's Plan, he talks about being woken up at 6 a.m. and stuff. So he puts six like everywhere. He does the 666, but if you notice, he actually does something more like this, which if you Google an image, the Eye of Horus, it's kind of resembling that sort of thing, like an all-seeing eye and some of that kind of stuff. And he's really into this like owl stuff, which is has sort of Illuminati sort of references and stuff, or it's like a symbol for the use for the Illuminati. I think owls are known for being able to see, even in like the dark. So it's kind of giving them it's sort of their like symbol for what they're able to do, and they're the ones who claim that they're the bearer of light, and even in great darkness. So that's that. And even he has this OVO label, and O is like in numerology is 6, so it's like 6v6, and XO, which I think is the Weekend, the singer he's also from Canada. That's his label, OVO and XO is 6 in numerology. Fox News is F is the if you look up like Pythagorean numerology, Fox stands for 666. It's like F is the sixth letter in the alphabet, and then O is like a multiple of 6, and X is also a multiple of 6. And so there's all this like symbolism going on where people are, declaring what their allegiance is, and like a lot of people will say, this is my city, I'm, Houston, or I live in Houston. It's like, everybody's down for their city or down for their college is a big thing. Their frat, certain colleges, like at Rice, for example, they have certain dorms. People are really connected to that. And that's their allegiance, it's one of their many allegiances, and, if you Google corporate logos with 666, you'll see a lot of them. It's not even hidden, like the CERN logo, the think tank in Europe. It's got 3 6s there. Disney has 666 embedded, Taco Bell. These are all just the kind of top ones that come to mind. You'll see a lot of like in Time Warner Cable, which I think is now Spectrum. You'll see the all-seeing eye with a 6 inverted. You'll see that one if you Google those logos. So it's like it's out there, and all these corporations and individuals are showing their allegiance whether they know what they're doing or not. And so the biblical example to prove that, that's not new, Mark 5, starting at 7. And cried with a loud voice, and said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High? I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not. So this is an unclean spirit talking to Jesus, or Yahushua. For he said unto him, Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he asked him, what is thy name? And he answered, saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. And he besought him much that he would not send him away out of the country. So this is amazing that we have a situation here where these, Jesus is telling these demons to come out, and they do. And then now they're debating with him. I can't imagine what kind of scene this would be that we have. I don't know if they're visible to everybody else, but they're basically like, having a discussion, with Jesus or Yahushua. And they're lobbying to not be removed from a certain country. So this makes sense that first we learn that they come in groups, and not only a group, it says we are many in verse 9. And then they're actually like asking him to allow them to stay in that country. So they have a dominion, they have a region, so the spirit world, intersects with our physical world. At least in this verse, there's proof, there's evidence of that there are spirits that have dominion, and there are spirits, in our apartments or houses and out everywhere, and, we just can't see them, and if we could, we would probably be mortified, and they live inside of people, and they live inside of animals, clearly, as well. If you keep reading, the spirits asked them to go into swine, and then they did go. Jesus allowed that. And then they ran violently down a steep place into the sea. They were about 2,000. Then they drowned. And so, this is an amazing thing, And so this ultimately is just more, I use this as an example just to show that, that the spirits, they come in groups. So when people say, they're part of 666, that's a huge group. Like, that's just a big, vast number of spirits, that are down with that agenda, And on a smaller level, there are people, like Drake, like his OVO thing, and all the stuff that he's doing with his hand symbols, a lot of rap music. That's its own sort of group of demons, that are assigned to that dominion, And then there would be a group of demons assigned to like downtown Houston, for example, or like, and all that kind of stuff. We would also hope that there are angelic forces assigned to these places as well to counteract, depending on what the Most High wants. But ultimately, this is to me what I feel like the point, one of many, I'm sure, points of being here is to like determine what our allegiance is, and it's already set from the beginning. But we're just discovering it as we go through our existence here, and it's good news for some people and bad news for others. But we don't want to have any allegiances at the form of, devotion and worship. We have to have, groups or networks, of people around us and stuff. But to say that anything here on earth is our allegiance goes against the scriptures and is ultimately going to lead to destruction. Because you do not want to have any allegiances because even our family, we're taught by Jesus that we're not even supposed to love them anywhere near that. We're called to love God. So our family, not even our family, which would be what one think would be the most righteous, thing to have an allegiance with, form of like devotion and connection. So definitely not, education, definitely not money, definitely not your city, definitely not your record label, definitely not your company, your like corporation you work for, your car, or any like a girl, no, a woman for sure. We know that, and I'm not saying every girl, but a lot of women have a lot of spirits on them, and that's just by design. They're purely carnal. They're just looking for longevity and joy here on this earth purely. And so definitely not women. And so, there's all these different things that we're tempted, and even our own body. It was the main point actually I wanted to make was that, so outside of ourselves, there's nothing worthy except God, and not even our own body, because we could even worship or have an allegiance to our own body, like through our, sexual impulses, wanting to exalt ourselves, all these different things, where our body could even be something that we have an allegiance to, even just getting tattoos and marking it, and like stuff like that. It's like we should have no real that type of thing with our body, because the reality is, our body is a finite thing. That is a fact. That's known, that's and that will not change ever. So it's like everything else, that's on this earth. It will not have this same structure, and we will not have these bodies forever, and so there's, from a very practical reason, there's no reason to have allegiance to it. Keeping it healthy, just like maintaining the health of relationships around us as best we can, that's very important, and part of this process. But because it just makes sense that we wouldn't just be born to like avoid everything, like if we were just born and then put in a room and then just sat there and never sinned, never had a thought, and we just died, like that is clearly not the will of God, even though that individual could be considered sinless and they would have no allegiances. But that is not the will of God. We have to be in the world. We have to, in the sense that we have to be, have some connection to the world. We just are not allowed to have any allegiances, and certainly not allegiances that require us to throw up, 666 or these like Horus eyes, or there's like all these gang signs are basically a different form of allegiances, and they're all evil, because there is no symbol or hand sign that we can do that is going to get the Most High's attention. The Most High is not looking for hand signals or any of that kind of stuff. He's looking to use our hands to alleviate oppression wherever we can, to be a voice, use our mouths, to be a voice for the poor, the oppressed, and to speak truth, as much as we can all the time, if possible. It's very difficult to do that in these days, but if you can, that's what we should do. And so, that's our calling. It's there's a lot of spirits. This is a very powerful interaction that Jesus has with these spirits, and we learn quite a bit. That they operate in groups, and this makes sense. Where there was another passage or interaction where Jesus is talking about how spirits will leave a person but then come back with many more after it's been cleaned up. And there's spirits constantly looking for that. It's like they like that. There's some structure and like networking in the spirit world as well, hierarchies for sure, where Satan is the highest on the left, but they come in groups, and certain spirits enjoy certain things, and it's clear that these spirits in this verse in Mark enjoy, just chaos, like just they're like insane, because like they're driving this person insane, and they're just like tormenting them, and then they go and torment these pigs and these swine and just cause them to kill themselves. So basically like suicidal spirits, I guess. So that this is everywhere. So we do not want to have allegiance to any of these, and in a way, all these different symbols and rap music and a lot of the different Hollywood and all these things, just having an allegiance to that automatically puts you in a bad situation, whether you're physically around people like that who have those kind of spirits or are susceptible to being taken over by those spirits, or you're just in an area that is known to be just satanic, and like a lot of nightclubs, I'm sure there's lots of spirits assigned to like nightclubs for like just stupid little beef that'll cause fights and stuff. And then even religious spirits, like there's probably tons of spirits needed, and at Creflo Dollar's church, for example, to keep people, there are spirits that like to go there and are just there to like dumb people down, to like not allow people to think or ask questions or, all that kind of stuff. So there'll be spirits everywhere, and for different purposes, but and we can't necessarily avoid everything by just like sitting by ourselves, but like we have to definitely be aware of like what our allegiance is, and know that ultimately what I feel the purpose of this life is, and one of the many reasons, is to like, God is deciding what are we gullible to worship or have an affiliation to. Are we spiritual but like, we don't want to leave our family? Or are we spiritual but we don't want to leave our job? Are we spiritual but we don't want to leave behind physical pleasures? Or if we're tempted with those, would they be able to overtake us? And ultimately, as we become more and more wise, we will be less susceptible to be overtaken by these evil spirits. And then, we know that Yahushua is the epitome of having control over this, and to the point where he actually is telling spirits what to do. And they obey because he is not subject to any of them. We are subject to them on certain levels, and we could, in certain situations, be overtaken by them. And this is why we're at the mercy of the Most High. But this verse proves that, I don't know how this happened, or it was just bestowed upon Jesus from the beginning, but all these spirits are subject to him. And everything that happened to him, even up to on the cross, he allowed it to happen. You know, it was the will of the Most High, and he did not alter that will, even though he pleaded if there was another way. But all these spirits are subject to his word, because he is not capable or has ever succumbed to any of these legions at all. And so this is something that we cannot do perfectly, but and this is why he is worthy of worship. And that you actually see that the evil spirits themselves, but when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshipped him. And so this is an amazing thing, that even those on the left hand side, some of them have the common sense to at least kind of suck up to him, to get what they want. In this case, he granted them their wish, but even evil spirits have the knowledge and awareness of the hierarchy to know that he is worthy to be praised.